All right, hello everybody, and welcome to round 7 here of LSR Group number 2. Joining you from Mexico here again, out of 11, and looking forward to the further race. Rusky saying there is rain in the forecast, so something to look forward to there. Of course, got 36 laps around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez here in Mexico City. And again, should be a very interesting one. Of course, Hermano Rodriguez, a very unique circuit. Of course, getting set up the rest of the way here. Nope, that is the wrong one. I want lap data. There we go. And that should get us all set for qualifying here. Of course, back to standard qualifying this week. Of course, we had only full qualifying in Group 1 last week, just due to some overlap. Of course, thank you, Shraxor, for letting me know that there is rain forecast in the race. We'll have to see if it is changeable conditions. So that should make it an interesting one, which I think this may be the first race we've seen rain here in Group 2. What would a good time be? I don't know off the top of my head. Oh, Viperize, thank you for sending me a screenshot of the weather. So it does look like it will be changeable conditions for... Yeah, so it's going to be a wet to dry race. So Viperize, that's... how do you get that look on there? That's not a view that I've ever seen. And more importantly, it's correct, unlike the game is. But yeah, let me know after the race, of course. But yeah, definitely gonna be interesting to see that one. So yeah, starting off with wet conditions. Somebody did ask in chat what a good qualifying time would be. It's an app. Okay, good to know. Yeah, send me a link later just that way I can, because that's a unique thing. I'd definitely be interested in looking at it. 27 saying Drift Simulator session. Definitely going to be interesting there. But, of course, with me not having done any practice here around Mexico, I don't exactly know what a good time would equate to. Of course, some guy here getting our first lap. Of course, running into turns 1, 2, and 3. Going to be hitting super high top speeds as you come into this chicane. LA app, our 20th driver, is, of course, just joining us. And, of course, got the second of 3 DRS zones as you blast down into the slower section here of 4 and 5. Get it slowed down, about second best overtaking spot on the circuit. And I believe this is a singular corner. We'll just call that turn 6. Before moving into this single file SS section. Of course, you got 7, which are taking at pretty good speed, and then 8, get that car, keep moving it, 4, 9, into 10, 11. And I believe this little kink on the exit of turn number 12 before DRS opens up once again, and you come down into the stadium section, get down to about 4 or 5, that's turn 12, and then 13, 14, and 15, and then 16 and 17 on the exits. Looks like it's going to be a decent lap from some guy on his first push of the session. He'll come across the line, and it's at 15.365. His teammate of 007 coming behind. That's going to be a 16.242 on a set of softs. So some guy showing some good pace early. We'll jump down to Zrosky in that Red Bull, and a bit of a train as of right now, but seemingly on a decent push lap. Has managed to, of course, keep it on track. Of course, if I am a little bit lower on energy today, I do apologize for that. As Zrosky goes to the top with 15.152, Straxor 15.9, just behind, but still recovering from being in attendance on at the NFL draft over the past couple of days. Has drained me a good bit. Here comes Owen, though, out of the final corner, looking to put a competitive time on the board, and he'll go top with a 15.116, so he'll unseat Zrosky. Sayoff coming across the line with a 17.418. And that's actually Ozan's at the top, 15.093. As I just looked away for a second, Stratondale goes even faster, 14.370. And the lap times already starting to fall pretty quickly in this session. Formula Jonah getting underway. One of the few drivers on a push lap right now that wouldn't be on our recharge lap, 007 16.242 for Sauber. Yeah, lap times falling pretty quickly. I imagine we could see some times into the 13s if current pace is anything to go off of. But a 14.370, definitely a good time to start. And here comes the Alpine into the S's section. A number of drivers as well getting started with their laps here in qualifying. I think it's definitely going to be interesting to consider as well what the strategies are for drivers at the start of this race, especially with setups, considering we are looking at a wet-to-dry race. Might require a little bit of tiptoeing around in the early stages of this one. We'll, of course, have to wait and see. Formula Jonah around the final corner and to the line. It's going to be a 15.569, so good enough for a provisional P6 with his first effort of qualifying. Gavicho, I believe, should be next to cross the line with competitive lap. I mean, the Aston Martin's not too far behind him. So we'll stay on board with the Williams now as he works his way into Sector 3, 56.5 through the first two sectors. Of course, getting that car right, slow down. Yep. Of course, I'm not sure in-game if they do have, or if they did account for the very high altitude, as Gavicho goes fifth fastest, 15.263. Deschamps, meanwhile, 15.0. Can his Aston Martin teammate jump up to join him of LAF? That's going to be good enough for P7, 15.268. So some good lap times there. A bunch of drivers checking up as they come to the end of their laps. Zrusky seems to be going on an extra push lap, tucking in right behind that Williams. He'll come to the line, not going to be an improvement. Seemed to get stacked up there pretty significantly. But at the end of that lap, not able to improve. Formula Jonah invalidated that one. I'm going to try to find that Ferrari of Code Matic, who, if memory serves, was the winner last weekend at Baku. Of course, deputizing again this time for the Ferrari of Ali Jelly. Here comes Code around the final corner to the line. 15.202 for him. So Stratton still comfortably in that lead by over 0.6, and almost 0.7 early on in this qualifying session. Again, just trying to jump to a number of drivers still on laps. Abney OK might have a little bit of traffic up ahead. Runs a little bit wide there on the exit of the S's. I believe that's Viper Eyes going ninth quickest for Haas. It's the Mercedes coming into the stadium section now. It looks like the traffic will be staying out of the way here. He comes around that final corner. Hold on to that back end into the line. It's a 15.296, so good enough for a provisional P9. Early on, Eric too fast for you now to the line. He'll go second quickest. So Eric, the full-time Ferrari driver, able to put some fight forward. Formula Jonah showing up. Great work commentary as always. Thank you, Jonah. And good to thank you for using that account as well. Just because, especially considering that I'm still a little bit tired, still catching up on some sleep. Definitely useful to remember that is you as opposed to that kind of personal one you use from time to time. But 007 going to get a little bit of a toe there from, I believe that is Eric on his lap. Stratton needs to touch grass, says LAF. Yeah, I don't have a further comment on that. I was trying to think of something interesting or witty to say, but nothing came to mind. So nobody else really on laps at the moment. Most of the drivers on out laps. 27, 4/10 clear of the field is crazy. Yeah, definitely, kind of a big one there. So, yeah. Again, trying to see who all is on a push lap right now. Some guy up about 1/4 of a second through the first sector, so we'll stay on board with the Sauber, of course, currently sits P12. He's picked up another 10th through that middle sector, where it's really easy to just kind of make some mistakes in there. So that could be so sector 2 could be a big sector where we see huge improvements from some of our drivers. Here comes some guy, though, around the final corner into the line. Can he? And that lap time, good enough for P3 on the grid temporarily, 14.925. But, of course, all the other drivers going to be on pretty significant push laps. Owen coming up to the end of Sector 2, and he's found over 1/4 of a second in the middle sector after losing a slight bit of time there in Sector 1. That was only about 0.007 thousandths. No, wait, that's not accurate. But here comes Owen from the final corner to the line. They'll jump ahead of some guy, 14.784 for Owen. So a good lap time from him there. Does put him ahead of some guy. Eric, too fast for you now, working through Sector 2, as is Stratton through Sector 1. So we'll stay with the guys who are currently battling. It's apologies, for that provisional pole position. Here comes Eric Too Fast for You now, working through Sector 2, and he's actually going to abort that lap. He's down about a tenth and a half. Stratton, meanwhile, has found 2/10 in the first sector. So really utilizing, that turns 1, 2, and 3, really important to get dead right. And Stratton has found some significant pace through there. He'll work his way through the S's now, of course, coming around to that second sector timing marker. The Haas, though, seemingly getting slightly in the way. Doesn't seem to have held up Stratton too much. He's still up about a quarter of a second. So we'll see if we can jump up into the 13s. Ozan goes second quickest for McLaren. That's a 14.574. Here comes Stratton around the final corner of the line. Keeps it nice and tight. 14.196. So lost a good bit of time in that final sector, but still enough to put him further into provisional pole and still about 3 to 4 tenths clear of the field. Ozan, good lap time there to slot in to P4. I believe Zorowski on a push lap as well. We'll stay on board with the second Red Bull as he comes to that first sector timing marker, and he's found 3/10 here. So again, those big sausages in those first couple of corners, definitely very important to kind of stay away from as you get underway with a lap. Of course, Zorowski looking to try and potentially secure a championship in this season. Of course, can't do it as of yet. I would need to double-check the standings since I'm not fully apprised, but he's found now half a second. So he's on pace to potentially take the fight to Eric. Look to be just about keeping it within track limits as we come there into the stadium section. But into the final two corners now comes the Red Bull of Zorowski, as he'll keep it tight to that pit lane wall. Going to let it run out a little bit. 14.659, so good enough for P3. So it's Red Bull 1 and 3 getting set up nicely on that left-hand side of the grid. LAF, meanwhile, has jumped up to 5th in that exchange. Teammate of DeChal, I think, working his way through Sector 1. Of course, you can see, I believe it's the McLaren of Sayao, just kind of parked up along the side of the track, trying to make sure that he stays out of the way. Gabicho, meanwhile, third quickest for Williams. So 14.598 from Gabicho puts him in the fight. 27. Hate those S's. It's so hard to not invalidate there when pushing. Yeah, definitely on the limit through there, and especially with the changeable conditions to come in the race. Definitely could be something to consider there. Is how much are track limits penalties going to be a factor? DRS Maestro, 7th quickest for V-Carb. So good lap from him there. Apney okay, just getting underway. Here comes DeChal around the final corner of the final sector, and he's going to lose about a tenth, but it will still bump him up into the top 10, and he'll jump ahead of some guy with 14.922 in the pack, continuing to tighten up here. Viperize, I believe, just ending a lap there. I think has struggled to find a little bit of pace in the dry in these conditions. Pomatic, meanwhile, up about a tenth and a half through his first two sectors. So stay on board the Ferraris and come out of the S's. And he's up about 3.5 tenths now. So let's see if he can find anything here in this final sector. I think trying to conserve a little bit of ERS now for the exit. Be able to power with an overtake to the line. Kendrick's was the only driver now without a time on the board. Here comes Codematic around the final board to the line. 14.906 from Codematic. So enough to bump himself now up into the top 10. Look at how tight that field is. From about 9th down to 13th, all within a tenth of each other. So could see a lot of shuffling in the later part of the session. Viperize invalidates as he comes through the exit of the S there, with him to have seemed to have made a mistake earlier on there. Isha or Guardian Knight, meanwhile, looking to push on a lap. Only 15.220 right now, and has lost a tenth in the first sector, not really utilizing all the track as well. And I think going to abort that lap as well, trying to gain a little bit ERS, maybe those tires as well, not in the mode that he would want. Of course, being the only driver on a push lap right now, not going to see improvements from anybody else. Ghost Rider, though, looking to get an out lap as we approach under 3.5 minutes left to go in the session. So let's see which drivers want to come out maybe a little bit early. Kendrick's making his way out. Isha, I think, trying to get those tires in the right windows. Rusky, Eric, and Owen all on out laps as well, trying to, I think, either trying to double outlap it as Ghost Rider Big mistake there through Sector 1 in the first couple of turns, and he'll invalidate with the Haas there. But a number of drivers looking to come out. Again, we may be looking at some drivers looking at potentially doing multiple outlaps here, just trying to get those tires in the right operating window. Maybe thinking, hey, that one lap isn't enough to get these tires up to temperature, just due to some of those long straightaways. As Eric looks to get underway, and the Ferrari will. Again, good bit of clear track up ahead. 2.5 minutes left to go. And I imagine we're going to pretty shortly here see a parade of cars flowing out of the pit lane. Once again, we still see the first couple coming out, but still not too many as we get closer. I imagine there'll be a mad dash in a few seconds there, too fast for you. Invalidates there at the exit of turn number 3. And so he'll back off, try and save a little bit ERS, and we'll see if he can improve. Zrusky, meanwhile, just about eating a good bit of the train there. Again, we'll see how much he attacks here into these first couple of corners. And as he comes out of the exit, of course, he currently sits in P4. Again, he's going to have to manage a lot of that traffic, because now we're out to 18 cars on track with about 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go. I did miss exactly who came out. And now will be all 20 cars out on circuit in this qualifying session. Zrusky, though, looking like this will be the final lap of his qualifying session. Going to do nicely to hook those right-hand side tires into that green area, trying to get a little bit of pull from that inside curbing. Of course, DRS is going to be open. He's found a 10th. He's going to have to find more, though, if he wants to battle Stratting for provisional pole here in the dying stages of qualifying. Again, all 20 drivers out here on track at the end of this qualifying session. 1 minute left to go, so plenty of time to start laps. Zrusky goes P2, 14.426, able to find some extra time there in that final sector. Gavicho on a push lap as well. He's found a 10th in that first sector. Looks to maybe try to get a little bit of a toe off that McLaren. He's found another 2 tenths, or he's found another 10th and change in that middle sector. Can he keep it going, though, through this final sector? Coming out of the stadium now. Again, going to have to keep it tight to the line, finding all the tenths he can. That's good enough for P2, and almost unseats Stratting for provisional pole there, but not quite able to find it. Meanwhile, Ozan has invalidated. We'll see if he has enough in the tank for a final push lap. That invalidation happening in the S's. Ozan actually going to retire from the session, as he does not think he has the pace to improve. Eric Too Fast For You has matched his time through 2 sectors. Ghost Rider as well will retire from the session. Again, hopefully those cars will not hold up anybody, but here comes Eric pushing through the final sector. Out of the final corner now into the line. Can Eric improve? He will improve, but it's not by enough to improve his standing here in qualifying. That is, of course, session over as well. LAF DRS Maestro looking to continue to push here. Is Stratting on a push lap? Stratting is invalidated, so he will not improve. So is anybody else pushing to improve? LAF slightly up through 2 sectors. We'll see if he can find anything through the final sector. Some guy goes 5th fastest. Owen goes 7th fastest. Formula Jonah crosses the line. He will start 14th. Make that 15th as Kendricks goes 10th fastest. Viperize goes 11th. LAF going to come to the line. He'll go 5th quickest. As again, numerous drivers come to the line. Dachal is going to spin at the final corner, so he will not improve from 13th. Here comes Avni OK down through Sector 2. I did not see that time pop up. 007 will go 15th quickest. Zrusky getting back in the pits. DRS Maestro has found about 3.5 tenths, so it's going to clobber that massive curb on the inside at the stadium section. Of course, the slowest corner on the circuit. Here goes Maestro to the line. Avni OK, 3rd quickest. DRS Maestro will unseat him and go 3rd quickest, just slightly behind Gavicho. And I think that will do it here in qualifying. So it's Stratting on pole, Gavicho P2, DRS Maestro P3. It's very close. And it's Stratting, Gavicho, and Maestro picking up a couple of points there. And that will be qualifying. So definitely a very tight one there, especially at the end where Stratting looked in control for most of it. Maybe had a little bit more time in that final lap. But it still will be the Red Bull on pole. Of course, reminder to all drivers who are listening to not ready up immediately once we get to the grid. Once we do get on the grid, we do have a 2-minute break for strategies. Everybody to perhaps take a drink of water, myself included, I would very much appreciate that. But yeah, of course, there is your qualifying results starting on pole, and it's a pretty tight field. Again, of course, a short lap, but seeing all the way down to P18 within a second of each other. Definitely going to be interesting to see, especially with the changeable conditions to come. Yeah, of course, to all drivers listening, quick reminder that we do have a 2-minute break once we get on the grid, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to give my mouth a second to break. Do not break. Do not take that out of context. And Pete Tom being here. So, what's up, Pete Tom? But of course, there is the rain coming down here at Hermanos Rodriguez. Pete Tom, I don't know if you can give me a report on how Group 1 went yesterday. Apparently, it was fairly chaotic. But man, you guys get all the fun weather. I feel like Group 2 has been dry pretty much the whole season. 27, wondering if it'll be wets or inters. From the look of this rain, and with the fact that we will be back to dry at I believe, a pretty early stage in the race. Because, again, I do have a screenshot from Viperize where the rain should be sticking with us for that first 15 minutes. Then we'll start getting warmed up, as somebody did ready up early. 3, 4, and 5 lights. And we are underway. It does look like all our drivers getting away okay. It's a great start from DRS Maestro, who looks to be taking that lead into turn number 1. It's a terrible getaway from Stratting. Abney okay looking down the inside, and it's going to be 3 wide now into turn 1. Is of course hitting top speeds as we get towards the pit lanes. Oh, big wreck. Big wreck behind. Kendricks has gone round. That's an Aston Martin. Ditchall into Air Too Fast for you as well. Ghost Rider went round. That's going to bring out the virtual safety car here on lap number 1. There seemed to be a Mercedes involved there. Strakosaur picks up a 10-second time penalty as well. As I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like somebody got on the brakes a little bit early, and it was just a massive concertina effect and damage all over the circuit as we went there into turn number 1. And yeah, as you can see, everybody having to slow down there is just getting stacked up as everybody's just trying to keep it single file. As we do go back to racing, so everybody keeping it pretty kosher there. Yellow flag, though, in Sector 2 is everybody, again, just kind of stacking up, especially due to some of the drivers with damage. But it's DRS Maestro with a great start to take the lead here in Mexico in these tricky intermediate conditions. We'll go ahead and pull up that tire graphic as well. We'll work through the stadium section for the first time. Of course, no DRS going to be a factor as we head on to lap number 2. Again, I'd imagine that we'll see a number of drivers dive into the pits here. That'll tell us who all got damage in that opening skirmish, but it's DRS Maestro leading us across the line to start lap number 1. Rusty, meanwhile, has worked his way up to P2, so potentially a little bit of a mistake there from Avni OK in the opening laps. But as we run down into turn number 1, it's going to be DRS Maestro still holding on to that advantage. Of course, Abney OK, Stratton keeping in touch. And it's going to be 3 drivers in the pits. Kendricks, Stachal, Isha, all going to be diving in the pits here in the early stages. Not a great exit there from DRS Maestro, as Zroski potentially looking to make that move, but not going to close quite close enough. So it'll still be the V-Carb in the lead. The Mercedes closing up very tight to the back of the Red Bull currently in P2. But still going to hold on for the moment. Look to be a little bit of contact back there between Gavicho and Jose, and it's Gavicho looking to try to potentially find a way through, but not able to get that. A little bit wide from the Sauber of some guy there. As well as a little bit of a wiggle there from, I believe, it's Rusty, just trying to get on the power. As cold tires may be a little bit of a factor. Full blast down here into the stadium section once again. So again, going to continue to be really tricky throughout this one. Going to be, as we do take a look at possible race strategies, that of course is considering that this race remains wet, which it will not, again, to the best of my knowledge. Again, a bit of a wiggle there from Zorowski as he looks to get on the power, so it'll be a good exit from DRS Maestro, who sets the first fastest lap of the session. Codematic, though, going to take it back as Code up into P10 as he's running very comfortably. Here comes Zorowski, though, looking to make a move into turn one. He'll look down the inside, and DRS Maestro not going to be able to fight it quite enough. Going to try to get him here on the exit, though. And as they come out, it looks like it'll be briefly side-by-side. DRS Maestro closing down now to within about a tenth and a half. But Zorowski, who's going to dump a lot of ERS there on the exit, and is going to take the lead here on lap number 3. Big slide, though, as we head into turn number 4. But still holds on. Meanwhile, LAF has closed up to the back of Stratting. Potentially going, trying to not compromise his setup too much. On the inters, a dry setup shouldn't be too terrible, especially if we are expecting changeable conditions, which we are. Oh, excuse me. Stratting should, I'd expect, come on strong toward the end of the race. It's going to be interesting to see how this one continues. Straxor did pick up a penalty there, and that is a 10-second. Ghost Rider picks up a 3-second for track limits. Straxor did pick up that 10-second penalty under safety car, which, of course, under the virtual safety car, I believe, for making contact with the driver up ahead. As that virtual safety car came out very quickly. Zorowski now, new fast lap of the race as your race leader. As, of course, the rain continues to fall. Going to look to break the toe of Maestro here as we run down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Stratting, I think, closing up to the back of Avenue OK there. Not going to close quite close enough to have a move into turn number 1, though. And it's still going to hold back for the moment. As it looks like Stratting now, his car starting to come into form. As he's not pulled away a little bit from LAF. Some guy, of course, back there in P7 looking to keep with, as there's the Ferrari of Codematic looking to get a move done on Gabicho, but not quite going to be able to find it. And he's going to have to hold station for now. Wiggle there from Abney as DRS Maestro is starting to fall off Zorowski a little bit. As we'll head into the S's for the 4th time in this race. And it seems that Zorowski running a lot more downforce than some of these other drivers around him, specifically DRS Maestro. Seems to have really bossed that middle sector up to a gap of 1.1 seconds now. Yeah, you can see a lot of understeer there for DRS Maestro through the stadium. So yeah, losing about 4/10 around that very slow hairpin left-hander. That's 26.310 for Zorowski, who's now, I think, going to be looking to make a little bit of a breakaway. So blast down into turn number 1 once again. Going to be Avenue OK right up tight to the back of DRS Maestro. He'll pop to the inside as we run down in turn 1. The Mercedes, is he going to be able to get it stopped? That's a very nice move on what was a very difficult, tight line to get that stopped from Avenue OK. So Avenue moving now up into P2. And yeah, it seems that Zorowski running a lot more downforce. About a second and a half as we made our way onto the pit street. It's now down to about 1.2 seconds. So something important to potentially consider there as this race continues. And again, as we get drier and drier in this one, going to be something to consider. Yeah, you can see as they make their way through the S's now once again, and Zorowski able to open up that gap up now to 1.4 seconds. So rain already looking to potentially start to lighten a little bit. Not a significant amount, but I think enough to start to be a little noticeable. But of course, it just may be my camera at the moment. I think we're still quite a long ways from moving to slick tire running. Viper is also up into 11th as Avenue OK sets a new fast lap, 25.970, as he looks to chase down your race leader. A couple of other drivers picking up time penalties as well. And it seems like as well, Zorowski maybe actually not running significantly more downforce than the cars around him. Standard turn 1 there, that gap to Avenue OK holding pretty standard, or pretty stock. No, that's the same word. As you can tell, I'm still fairly tired and still recovering. Words. English is hard. But we'll run lap number 6 here. Again, yeah, that rain has lightened up very significantly. Even just jumping on the onboard, you can still see it falling, but it's gotten significantly less than just what it was even at the start of this race. So it's going to be interesting to consider how some drivers approach this situation. So again, maybe it's just the kind of camera angles that I am seeing. It seems like the rain has almost completely stopped in this one. So going to be something really important to consider here as we continue. Ghost Rider picks up another 3-second time penalty. Led onto the pit straight once again. Start lap number 7. This is Rusty. Again, a new fast lap. So the track continuing to get quicker. And the rain has officially stopped here as we start lap number 7. And we got our first, I think, car diving into the pits for slick compound tires. It is going to be the Haas of Viperize. It looks like the 007 going to follow him. The Chal diving in looks to be mediums for the Alpine of Formula Jonah. And it's going to be mediums as well for the Haas of Viperize here in the early stages, as he'll be the first to brave a set of slicks. DRS Maestro, meanwhile, looking to battle Avenue OK into turn number 4. Looks like the Mercedes going to jump up a position. It'll be Hards on the second Haas of Ghost Rider as well. Guardian Knight Kendrick's also diving in, and I imagine DeChal will too, as they look to all swap to slicks. Drosky, meanwhile, comfortably in the lead there. And just looking at that gap from Viperize ahead to Seau, looks like the slicks maybe not in a great spot. Yellow flag in Sector 3. That is for the Mercedes of Guardian Knight. Hard lap to the end, but it'll be tough. I think for sure. I'm not sure what happened there. I think Guardian Knight may have had a half spin there. And yeah, I don't think the slicks doesn't look like the slicks are the right call, especially right now. Even after the rain fell, I think that may just be due to track temperature. Avenue OK, though, I think going to dive into the pits. He's going to get aggressive. Some guy, I think, picks up a second 3-second time penalty there for track limits. You see, still a good bit of spray coming into the pits there. So there's still a good wet patch there, and it seems that Avenue OK going to be the only driver here to dive into the pits. Actually, 007 going to dive in, as will Seau. Viper, as you can see there, big slide, goes for a big slide, as does Formula Jonah. So despite that rain having stopped, still seems that Inter is going to be the quicker tire for some time. Yeah, Avenue OK still comes out pretty comfortably doing his own thing. But lap number 8 here, and again, the rain has stopped. Codematic finds his way past Gabby Cho there. A little bit of ghosting, so hopefully not too many connection issues going on, but that'll be Code sliding up into P7. Drusky starting to make a bit of a breakaway now. Going to be DRS Maestro and LSR Stratting looking to get things done. And yeah, you can see we'll jump on board with Avenue OK on that set of hard compound tires. Just keep an eye on his delta, especially on the exit there. You can see that gap continuing to go up to Eric too fast for you. Of course, DRS still not activated as we continue to race here on lap number 8. Of course, it's going to be really hard to bring those tires into the right operating window. Code O and Gabby Joe, although opting to dive into the pits. Yeah, you can see how much that gap going up massively as you make your way through the stadium section. 007 picks up a time penalty for track limits. We'll see where Avenue OK comes out. Of course, he was in that battle for the lead. And there's Eric and Strachosaur, I believe, coming out ahead of him. Actually, no, that's going to be Code and Owen. Apologies. As it is a double stack from Williams, Strachosaur going to lose a chunk of time. But Avenue isn't still the leader on the slick tire. Owen looks to make a move down the inside of Code. Going to run a little bit deep, though, at turn 1. There's going to be contact there. So seemingly both drivers getting away with it okay. It is going to drop Owen down into, what is that, P10, however. We'll continue to run here on lap number 9 as we are at the quarter-way mark of this race. We got a number of drivers with interesting decisions to make. Again, now we continue to run. The track, of course, going to keep drying out here. It's going to be the Red Bull Zroski once again staying out. DRS Maestro will do the same. Stratting will not, however. As again, the Inters continuing to get quicker. Stratting going to dive into the pits. So what's going to be the choice from the driver in P3? LAF will follow him in. What compound of tire is that on the Red Bull? It's going to be the hard compound, as Ozan going to dive into the pits as well. So where does Avni OK come out in relation to LSR Stratting? He's still in the stadium section, so Stratting has picked up a load of time. Of course, going to be a big gamble from Stratting, as he's going to actually have a big slide there and cross that pit exit line. So that shows you how difficult it is going to be on this hard compound of tire. But of course, the rain having stopped, and Zroski having known his teammate it has pitted at this point. What is the decision going to be? He's got a comfortable gap behind to DRS Maestro as well. But of course, those slicks going to just continue to get stronger and stronger in this one. So what is the decision going to be? Ozan finds his way past Gabicho to slot up into P8. And Zroski seems to be continuing to go faster. That looks to be a purple sector. Going to run a little bit wide there, though. So what is the decision going to be from your race leader here on lap number 10? Owen picks up a 3-second time penalty due to track limits. So yeah, track limits absolutely going to prove a factor in this one. And Zroski going to continue to stay out on that set of intermediates, as will DRS Maestro. Some guy will do the same, and yeah, the Inter's still a considerably faster tire here. LAF now looking to put some pressure on Stratting. It'd be really interesting to consider as well just how much time is lost in the pit lane when you do opt to dive into the pits. They're too fast for you, picks up a 3-second due to track limits. Here's the battle for P4, though, as Stratting and LAF come out onto the pit straight. Of course, still no DRS at this stage. As Codematic sets a new fast lap. That's on a set of hards. So Slicks maybe actually now starting to get that a little bit quicker as Code slots up into P6. LAF will look to the inside, but not able to get a move done, and Bike Prize picks up a penalty for track limits. Gabicho may have picked up damage at some point there. He's dove into the pits. And that'll be for a new set of hard compound tires. So with Code now setting the new fast lap, is that the sign for our leaders to finally dive into the pits? And I think more importantly here, will those hards now be able to get a little bit of an undercut as we continue? Of course, all our medium compound runners probably thinking we'll probably have to make an additional stop. Zroski will finally dive into the pits here on lap number 11. DRS Maestro will stay out and will take the lead here. Some guy will do the same, so it's only your leader of Zroski diving into the pits. Or some guy setting a new fast lap. Zroski actually opting for the medium tire here. So does he think that those mediums will be able to last for 24 laps? He's going to be released. He'll still be having to deal with that pit limiter there. But 28.5 is the gap as Stratton comes out the pit. You can see his teammate pretty comfortably down the road there as Codematic sets another fastest lap on the set of hard tires. Of course, those mediums will come up to temp rather quickly as here comes LAF looking to side around the outside. DRS actually has been activated now. So DRS going to provide a factor. Stratting and LAF going to continue to go side by side here through Section 2. Of course, the Aston Martin going to get a second bite. And LSR Stratting look to get a little bit loose there on the exit and has now gone round and is in the wall. So a big loss there, but seemed to be a bit of a racing incident as they were just side by side. Stratting just looked to get a little bit loose. And it's now going to be Stratting all the way down into P9 as he looked to try and hold on to that position. So, of course, still plenty of things could happen, but that's going to be a big loss for the Red Bull driver. Codematic is 3 seconds due to track limits. Your DRS Maestro here, I think it's time to dive into the pits, which the V-Carb will. Looks like he's going to lose a pretty significant amount of time here to the likes of Zroski, as it does seem that those slick tires, comfortably the quicker tire here, as he already come through the final corner, is going to be Zroski. And he will quite easily here take the lead. You can see DRS Maestro being released now. And still, again, going to be considerably behind. But I think the question, if you're Zroski, is do those mediums have enough life in them to hold on? Some guy as well going to be under threat here from LAF and Codematic. And we do have a safety car here. What brought out that safety car? It looks like it may have been Formula Jonah there making a mistake to bring out the safety car. So that makes this race considerably more interesting here on lap number 12. As what did bring out that safety car? Oh, it may have been, it was an incident with Strakosaur and potentially Seiya. As you can see, no front wing on that Williams. As he'll drive into the pits, it's going to be Ghost Rider looking to make a move. Does make contact there. Viper Eyes picks up 10 seconds from speeding in the pits, and he's going to actually retire from the session. So that's going to screw over his teammate of Ghost Rider. Strakosaur picks up 10 seconds. Huge 27 saying huge for the medium runners. And is Ghost Rider stranded here? Ghost Rider... Oh, no, Ghost Rider is not stranded here. He will just drop comfortably to the... What the heck just happened? Okay, but Viper Eyes is out of this race. That is confirmed. I am not sure what happened there in the pits, but it was very odd. But yeah, this is pretty big for those medium tire runners. Not so much for Zrusky, who had that comfortable advantage. And of course now, the hard runners all going to have a chance to stay out and potentially try and bring some of those tires up to temperature. I mean, question if you are running the hards is now do you think the mediums can go to the end? Because if you're on the mediums, you have that opportunity to switch to hards. It doesn't work the other way around, though. Of course, everybody trying to check up, trying to hold on to that delta time. Strang, of course, going to have a pretty significant win here, as he should get a free pit stop to fix that damage to his front wing. Of course, then it's a pretty significant gap behind. Owen and Abney going to dive into the pits. That's going to be fresh mediums for Abney. It's going to be fresh hards for Owen. So they'll both be released. Of course, everybody as well now going to be on the lead lap. This also gives some of those drivers with time penalties, with 10-second time penalties from when that first virtual safety car came out, the chance to get that time taken off. 007 stays out. Stratton, of course, going to dive into the pits. Here comes Jonah. It's going to be interesting to see where Stratton comes out. Of course, we know he had the best pace in qualifying, which was, of course, in those dry conditions. So where is he going to come out in relation to this pack at the tail end of the field? He'll come to the line. I think he's going to be pretty close to the tail of it. Kendricks dives into the pit. Strakosaur picks up 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, so that makes his day go from bad to worse. Stratton going to come out in 16th position. But yeah, as you can see, a number of penalties there. Strakosaur with 30 seconds of time penalties. He's probably going to try to continue to serve as many of those as possible. Zrusky, why did Zrusky lose positions? Zrusky has for some reason dropped down to P5. So I'm not sure what happened there. If you went into AI, though, that sadly is not protestable, which is why we say stay in AI, which is why we say continue to drive under safety car, unless you are typing. But Zrusky has for some reason dropped down to P5 now. So very interesting there. But again, a number of drivers with time penalties. Ghost Rider, 22 seconds, is the kind of leader there, was trying to delete files. Yeah, I mean, but that's also why we say try to stay out of the pause menu, if at all possible. Try to make sure that you're prepped before then, because if you do go into pause and you drop positions, sadly, there's nothing that we can do about it. The game just sucks in that way, which is very disappointing. But ultimately nothing that we can do there. So again, probably going to be under safety car for a considerable amount of time here. I mean, I think if you're Strakosaur, though, if you have to continue to push this lap, try and make up some of that gap. There, of course, is your look at the penalty situation. Yeah, we'll at least go another lap or two, I'd imagine. See what happens with Strakosaur here. I don't know if he'll have enough time here to go in and serve another 10-second time penalty. He will stay out on that set of mediums, but remain under safety car for at least another lap, as everybody looks to form up. This as well, this gives us a chance to look at some of the position changes here. Claude Mack having a great race. He's up 9 spots. LAF and some guy up 5 each. 007 up 6 spots. Ghost Rider up 7. Or time penalties will affect all of those positions. So we'll have to continue to wait and see there. The course track going to get quicker and drier as this continues. So of course, have to wait and see. Of course, there is your look at stops as well. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get set back up so you can see tires. And there we go. Yeah, time penalties here in changeable conditions absolutely going to be a factor here. And yeah, actually, Nicole, excuse me, I'm gonna take a chance to take breath. Of course, this is round 7 out of 11. Next week is at Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Race times there may be a little bit altered, just as a heads up for any racers or viewers currently listening in. Just due to the real-life Miami Grand Prix. So just keep that in mind. So we'll see if we do get back racing this lap or next. I imagine we're at almost the max length of the safety car in terms of time, even if Kendricks and Straxor are still looking to catch up to the back of the field. Will the safety car be in this lap? It will. That does give DRS Maestro control of the field, so we'll get back underway. Lap number 17. Looks to be DRS Maestro trying to keep the pack at a pretty fast clip here. We'll see how this continues. As he'll keep the pack slow. Kendricks will catch up. Strakosaur could be in a good position. Of course, does have a lot of time penalties to work through. But is going to have his tires at probably the best point of the field. DRS Maestro seemingly going to leave it pretty late here. Just try and wait until that final corner. And the V-Carb will now take off and get us back underway here at the start of lap number 17. We're back to racing here in Mexico City. And it seems the LAF, though, with a solid reaction there, as he's looking to close on DRS Maestro, who's trying to break the toe. Here comes LAF, though, looking to try and make the move into turn 1. Of course, no DRS assistance this first time round. And it's going to be DRS Maestro holding on. Codematic looking to potentially trying to get a move done on some guy. Looks like he'll not get that move done either. And most of the field holding pretty standard. Stratic slides up into 15th. He'll get ahead of Sayal. So solid move there from Stratic, looking to make a recovery drive now, as lap 17 gets underway. They're too fast for you now, looking to make a move on 007. He'll get that to stick, because Gabicho going to find a way around the outside of the Sauber as well. Not quite, as looked to be a little bit of karting tactic of follow the driver ahead through there, briefly from Gabicho, but not able to get that move to stick. LAF, though, keeping right with DRS Maestro now, as we head into Sector 3 for the first time in what will be proper green flag running. Dry green flag running. There's a bit of a wiggle there from Maestro. That's Ghost Rider and some guy picking up a penalty. That's Gachal, who's gone round in the stadium section. Not sure whether that was due to contact or not, but Gachal's race goes from bad to worse. And again, that fast lap going to continue to fall. Here comes the LAF, though, into turn number 1 as well. DRS Maestro keeping that gap solidly at around 4/10. Codematic going to find the inside of some guy, and the Ferrari going to move up into 3rd. So good move there. Sayal may have picked up some damage there. He's dived into the pits as we hit the halfway point. We'll run down into turn number 4. Of course, still no DRS until we get to that exit of the S's. That's the next detection point, or that's the next activation point. Detection point, of course, comes through the middle of that sector. 007 picks up another 3-second time penalty, and to add insult to injury, going to lose 2 positions to Gabicho and Formula Jonah there. As you can see, the Salver all the way in the background making his way through, what is that, turn number 6. We'll come into the S's section now. And of course, those hards going to start to come into temperature. But DRS going to be activated for LAF, for Codematic, for some guy, all the way back down to about, what is that? Actually, pretty much the entire field, except for Sayal, all going to be in DRS range of each other. So we got a little DRS train going here as we start lap number 19, heading the halfway point. It's still DRS Maestro with the lead. Of course, that fast lap going to continue to fall. No, it'll just go to Codematic now, trying to pick up that extra point from P3. But DRS Maestro seemingly with a lot of straight lines. Actually, it's down to 007 there in 12. So Ghost Rider and Stratting, I think, going to be trying to get that moved on rather quickly. It is going to be, I think, briefly 3 wide. It's going to be yellow flag in Sector 1. Ghost Rider out of the race. I think Stratting involved as well as they went 3 wide. So Ghost Rider is out. Stratting picking up damage again. DeChal takes an off track. I think Stratting very upset there. As what happened, I was about to jump to that 3 wide, but Stratting, 007, and Ghost Rider all coming together. And that's massive damage there as they went into turn 1. That seemed to be even before the braking zones. Rusky saying he accidentally killed someone. As actually behind him it doesn't look too bad. Same thing with ahead. But Ghost Rider is out of this race. Zrosky is apologizing. It looks like we're good. Oh, some guy, Zrosky and some guy coming together, so that'll probably be something talked about, as it was some guy, as I believe it was Zrosky down to P6, or potentially looking to make a move for P6. But that'll be a major incident to be reviewed, and we are once again here under safety car. So is anybody going to have to dive in? Codematic will dive in. Ozan will dive in. That's going to be Abney OK looking to dive in. Any other takers aside from those with damage? Strachosaur dives in, as does Kendricks, Isha, 007, and Stratting, of course, and Seiya will, of course, get closed up to the back of this pack, but that does still give DRS Maestro the net lead of this race. Of course, everybody else that seat out will not have that pit stop. This, of course, does give drivers with some of those 10-second time penalties a chance to dive in and serve them. Any takers? No, because everybody else up ahead did have had time penalties that were not related to that. It looked like some guy trying to potentially get an overtake done on Jonah. That they're just wants to go a little bit quicker. Of course, the safety are going to be rather slow here. But a number of drivers there opting for the medium compound of tire. As we'll continue now. Should be lap 21, lap 22 that we get underway. As there is Ghost Rider now disconnecting from the session. So both tasks not having a very good day at the office. I do believe it will be lap 22 to get back underway, which, of course, I think may give Strachosaur a chance to serve that third time penalty, which would, of course, wipe him out of time penalty. So that would be a very good situation for Strachosaur. We'll jump back to the Williams, who I think will opt to dive in here. That he will. So the second Strachosaur working to Strachosaur's advantage beautifully as he'll get way slowed down. As Strachosaur going to get all the way slowed down, make sure he is at about 20 miles an hour going in there. Just to make sure he doesn't pick up that extra penalty. He'll box again and serve it. Once it'll be 10 seconds, the Williams will come back out. So we'll start either at the beginning of lap number 22 and 23. This time I'm actually going to grab some water because I'm starting to get a little bit parched. I should probably need to go for a walk today, but say la vie. So apologize to do that ASMR. I'm still figuring some stuff out. But yeah, I can just walk to the sink, grab water, keep holding on to my controller, and keep talking with y'all. So it should prove to be interesting still on undershaped. Jeez. I cannot talk today. Huh. Okay, so it looks like we will get one more lap under safety cars. That's going to take Strachosaur a second to close up to the back of the field. Who turned into you on a straight? That is Ghost Rider. Then it looked to be a 3-wide incident there. So it looked like somebody maybe adjusting a little bit there, maybe a little bit of netcode as well, caused that incident. Of course, I didn't get a shot on stream of it. But yeah, it was Ghost Rider, 007, and Stratton, all 3 wides, potentially whoever. I think it was the driver on the inside there may have not known that it did. So that may have caused some of the incident there. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Guardian Knight going to dive into the pits. He'll take a fresh set of tires. So it'll be Guardian Knight then that will be waiting to get back underway. And then hopefully it will be green flag running until the end. The incident was between Zrusky and some guy, if I'm not mistaken, as opposed to the incident that brought out the safety car. Because it did not look like some guy received damage from that incident, which is why my assumption is that it was Ghost Rider. So I believe that's how that incident may have gone down. Of course, 10 people in chat right now, so definitely good to see a good chunk of you here watching. Definitely be sure to hit that like button down below if you haven't done so already, as we get the YouTube shilling out of the way for today's race. Definitely be sure to subscribe as well, as we'll have Group 3 action. It's in about an hour. So Group 3 starts in about an hour, which is our bit more developmental division, but still some solid racing over there. And definitely let us know if you're interested in potentially taking part. We can get my audio cut out there briefly. But it's going to be 14 laps left to go. DRS Maestro, LAF, and Zrusky currently 1, 2, and 3. As we look to get back underway, will DRS Maestro leave it to about the same spot? As he got a decent jump there on LAF that first time around. Will he try to mix it up? Will he try to change it up? Not really. He's going to get underway. Still get a decent jump, but only going to open that gap to about 3/10 this time. And it's going to give LAF an opportunity to get a move done here into turn number 1. DRS Maestro, of course, doing everything he can to break the toe. And the V-Car seemingly not running a good bit of downforce, but also probably using a decent bit of battery into turn 1. DRS Maestro will hold on there to that lead, as everybody holding position in there to turn number 1 here on lap number 23 in Group 2 of Mexico. That's going to be Kendricks, who's gone round. Kendricks, Codematic, and Seau, I think all coming together there. So that's going to be 3 more drivers out of it. Codematic, of course, was in there, was looking very quick at stages of that one, but seems to be another incident there. Ozan slides up into P8 now. R2 rooting for LAF. That's here on lap number 23, coming up to the stadium section again. The Aston Martin looking to close, but not going to be able to get that move done. So we'll head into the stadium section. Again, DRS might show a bit of a wiggle there, so we're going to lose a bit of time. Of course, no DRS until we get out of the S's on this first lap. Zrusky looking to make a move to the inside. Of course, an incident probably going to be filed against the Red Bull for a big incident. Yellow flag in Sector 3. What is that for? That, I believe, is for the Mercedes may have been for the Mercedes of Abnioke, who seems to have fallen quite significantly off of that pack. As big contact there, I think Eric was looking for a move. Zrusky may have locked up as well, as some ghosting going on here. So not sure fully what happened. It may have been as well that Owen and Eric were side by side, and it was just a driver getting on the brakes too late. Maybe Eric still holding on a P4. So I think that entire pack there is going to hold as it was. It definitely was a bit confusing as to what happened there. But we'll make our way into the S's once again here on lap number 24. And so it's really just 2 drivers in with a shot, especially if a penalty is coming for Zrusky. Which would mean it's down to DRS Maestro and LAF in terms of fighting for the win in this one. Of course, Maestro, and again, it was Ben Schwimmer who won last week. It was Codematic who came second. Apologies there. As I just pulled up the standings, take a look. Start lap number 25 here. DRS, of course, going to open up on the Aston Martin. Fast lap going to fall rather quickly here, but it's going to be an easy pass for LAF down the inside into turn 1. I think the big question here is, does DRS Maestro fall all the way back to P3? It looks like he will not. It looks like Zrusky going to jump on the brakes there. This will stay in third. There is Viperize as well, just now leaving the session. Of course, DRS going to open up again for LAF. But DRS Maestro, again, showing a lot of straight line speed here. So hold on there. Here on lap number 25. Some guy, meanwhile, finds a move past from Jonah up in 6, who's gone wide. He's going to lose another position now to Ozan. So again, continues to be a bit of a loss there. Shredding, of course, trying to recover. He's down there in 12th and does have a time penalty. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what exactly that is. LAF, though, looking to try to maybe make a bit of a breakaway here through the higher downforce section of the racetrack. 0.6 is the gap now. Of course, his tires are going to be a bit older. But again, if he's running a little bit more downforce, that might be enough. Not quite, as it looks like that gap going to hold at about 0.7 as we get to the detection point. Owen picks up a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and now it's going to be DRS Maestro getting that rear wing open. Though LAF showing a lot of straight line speed here, though he does have that red light flash at the back, so no ERS usage, and that's going to allow Zrusky and Maestro to close up very quickly. Zrusky looking to the inside. I think just trying to get as much time in as many positions as possible. But that is going to put Maestro off, and maybe allow LAF another opportunity to pull away. Gavicho is able to defend from Abney okay. Striding picks up another 3-second time penalty for track limits, though, as it'll be 10 to go next time we get across the line. Zrusky having to defend from Owen now, who's looking to get that move to the inside. Going to be contact between the V-Carb and the Red Bull, but it's going to be the V-Carb with the inside line. Can he get the better exit? And it's going to be big collision there as Owen and Zrusky get connected there, seemingly from a bit of EA physics. I'm not sure if Zrusky as well is very tight there with the Chal. But Zrusky and Owen with a bit of a coming together. Formula Jonah has now disconnected. So I will try to get him back in. And I believe that's just a bit of an internet failure. I'm trying to get him back in, though. As Jonah, I think, going to have to try to recover for points. As Alexis showing up, I'm sure he'd be happy to see Zrusky dropping down the order. What seemed to be a bit of a racing incident there. As Zrusky and Owen getting just a bit of EA collision physics down into turn number 6. DRS Maestro going to use DRS to slide ahead of LAF. Of course, promotes Eric up into 3rd, some guy into 4th, Ozan into 5th, as they're still with this lead pack. But it still remains the two drivers who look to be fighting for the win is DRS Maestro and LAF. Ozan looking the inside on some guy. He'll get that move done. I mean, I think it's certainly possible, Alexis. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, see what the rest of the race reaches end to bring. But we still have not had a repeat race winner, as DRS Maestro, though, picks up a time penalty. 007 has now disconnected. So seemingly connection issues now playing a bit of a factor. So now it's advantage LAF. Replacement is cooking. I mean, as right, seems to be, he's having a good race, but he's going to have to really try and start to pull away here, as he has set a new fastest lap. But DRS going to open up here on the back of LAF's Aston Martin. As Owen picks up a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane, he will retire from this one. As Owen out of this race here on lap number 28. As, again, just seemed to be unlucky there between Owen and Zrusky. As, EA collision physics are not kind. But DRS Maestro and LAF now starting to make a bit of a breakaway here at the front. As, again, that yellow flag for a manual retirement. Does DRS Maestro have the time in the bag, though, to be able to start to pull away? As, again, two trying to pull away from Eric too fast. Can they get it done here? As Eric actually closing up very quickly here, they'll go through the detection point, and Eric's still in with this fight. More importantly, LAF still with DRS advantage. Strachosaurus had a great recovery. He's up into P10, and of course with no penalties now. Again, the yellow flag still for the retiring AI of Owen. Lexus Beast. Actually, no, I believe Owen is the full-time. Owen is the full-time driver. So it is still DRS Maestro deputizing, of course, for Alexis Beast. Looking to put in a good result. Of course, is maybe going to have to try and force LAF into a mistake here. DeChal and Strakasaur come together, and that's Stratting out again! Stratting was another incident. And that's his third incident this race, and that's comfortably on the straightaway there. Did he get put off by DeChal and potentially some other drivers jockeying ahead of him for position? And that's going to bring out another full safety car. So what happened there? Is Stratting now out of this race? As again, just more chaos happening here down that long straightaway. And now here on lap 29, it's decision time for our leaders. This, of course, is going to play right into LAF's hands. But what's going to be the decision from everybody? Seiya was gone round under safety car here. Again, another DNF in this one. So it's decision time, and it's going to be DRS Maestro diving in. LAF going to stay out. And it seems to be a very poor decision from LAF, as is LAF the only driver who's going to be diving into the pit. Not going to dive in. Apologies, Dabicho will opt to stay out. Strakasaur as well going to opt to stay out, and he's in a great position on those mediums, especially without time penalties. Formula Jonah's AI, it seems, going to opt to stay out, as Jonah has, I think, been unable to rejoin as of right now. 007 as well opting to stay out. So technically only 3 drivers opt to stay out, including both Williams. Strakasaur actually has damage. Jonah could still be in a decent spot as he has managed to rejoin. So hopefully he can retake control here under safety car. Of course, this will bring Code back into it potentially. But has LEF made the right call here, staying on a hard compound tire? This will, again, continue to be a long safety car here. But this is absolutely going to get interesting. As there's Code now diving into the pits. I believe, once again, they should be released comfortably ahead of the safety car, but will Codematic potentially... Codematic should not go a lap down here. Well, we'll at least get 1 more lap under safety car, maybe 2. So it'll be either 3 or 4 racing laps left to go. So going to be very, very interesting here. I think we'll go ahead and take a look at penalties. I mean, if you're Gaicho, yeah, maybe that track position is going to work to your advantage. There's Jonah. Jonah actually opts to dive in here while behind the safety car. So perhaps he thinks there's something, perhaps he just, wants to try and maybe stay out of the way. We'll see what the choice is there. But it looks like it'll come down to LAF and Strakasaur. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to be really just a crapshoot here of who comes out on top. Of course, there is your look at tires. LAF is going to have an advantage here. The drivers behind, having that 3-car buffer behind. But of course, they're all going to be looking to try and get moves done. And of course, the AI of the 007 going to prove a factor as well. Sadly, I do not have him added, so I can get him back in. DRS Maestro going to try to get that move done very quickly. So I think the question here, will we get underway now or in 1 more lap's time? As we'll have to wait and see here until we come to that Sector 2 timing marker. Of course, Codematic going to be pushing hard here to catch the field. The survey says we will get 1 more lap under safety car. So again, that continues to work to LAF and Strakasaur's advantage. 4 points today. as it'll be it'll be 4 laps of racing left to go instead of 5. As again, Codematic just trying to catch the back of that field. You can see the Ferrari making his way through Sector 2. So 4 laps here in the sun of Mexico City. It'll be very interesting to see who all can hold on. Of course, tires on LAF's car very cold. You can see Gabbicho working to get his up temperature. Straxor's in a more comfortable window. And there'll be a decent gap back behind the likes of DRS Maestro. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if DRS Maestro can work his way through those 3 cars ahead. As again, 007 is an AI, so he will not be factored in, as well as with those 15 seconds of time penalties. Even if he does rejoin, it's going to be very difficult to do so. But if he can manage to find a way past all 3 drivers out ahead, which he should be able to find fairly quickly due to a massive tire advantage, it'll be very interesting. LAF saying he thinks he's bottled this. I don't know. I think not. I wouldn't say it's a complete bottle here, as ultimately it's just going to be 4 laps to hold on, and with no time penalties, it's still a chance to pick up some decent points. I think if you're talking race win, I think just with the amount of drivers that did opt to dive into the pits, absolutely, I think it was a mistake. Just considering, but I think when you're working from P2 there, really it's just kind of go opposite the lead driver. Is the kind of gamble that you have to go. So you got to make that decision and stick by it. But we'll get back to green flag racing this lap. And of course, this time it will be LAF with control of the field. It'll be 4 racing laps left to go. We shouldn't get much more than a... if we do get another safety car, it will end very quickly. But chaos probably about to ensue, but LAF keeping the pack very slow here. They make our way through. And actually, LAF going to take off very quickly here. Going to get a really nice jump. Engine limited. And so that's a great restart here from LAF. And we'll get back underway here on lap 33. The important part, is that going to be enough to hold back the field as they come charging down into turn number 1 as we get back to racing? See everybody spreading out behind. Of course, 007 going to have DRS Maestro and Eric drive right through him. But it's a big gap from those fresh tire runners up to the drivers in the front. Going to be very interesting. Codematic picks up 3 seconds. I think trying to get the move done on Seau there. Of course, those hards and even those mediums of Straxor with that wind damage going to start to scream out in pain the further we get into this one. As you can see, DRS Maestro already closing up to the field, closing up to these 3 leaders very quickly here, and that's before we've even reached the S's section. So Stratting out with about a 3/4 of a second advantage. Straxor going to lose a bit of time there. He's going to come under threat from DRS Maestro as we come down into the stadium section. Is this V-Carb going to be close enough? Not quite to get a move done. At least immediately, there goes Eric looking to make a move to the inside. As Eric Too Fast looking to make a move on track. So that, of course, is going to continue to put DRS Maestro off. You can see the 2 up the front looking to make the move. There goes Eric looking to sweep around the outside. DRS, of course, going to be enabled. But again, that's not going to be until we get all the way back to the exit of the S's section is when that will be activated. So 3 laps to go now. As Straxor, again, looks to continue to hold on to P3, which, again, he successfully will. Eric into the back of him. That's a little bit of contact there. Can Eric find a move down the inside of it? Late. He'll try to get down the inside of Straxor. Bit of contact there. And Straxor has to take evasive action, but it looks to be Eric continuing to hold on. Here comes Straxor, though. Will he look to make a move down the inside? He will not. And again, everyone have to check up behind. But Eric Too Fast for You finds a nice move there. But this battling continues to work to LAF's advantage. But now he's got another car looking to try to chase him down. Gabbicho, of course, going to be looking to try and slide up a position. As the Williams now going to have DRS, and is LAF potentially willing to work with him, especially due to the fact that Eric has so many time penalties. So is this a little bit of DRS mind games from the Aston Martin here, looking to pull out all the stops to try and come away with a win here. Zrowski picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's Guardian Knight who's gone round at the castle section. I believe that's somebody having to take evasive action there. I believe that may have been Jonah. Here comes LAF, though, looking to find his way back around the outside. Guardian Knight going to retire from the session. Of course, we will remain under green flag running here for the rest of this race. That actually looks to be Guardian Knight, who has gone into the pit wall and retired. But luckily, with the point we are in this race, not going to prove a factor. Eric Too Fast for You has closed up to the back of this field, or to the back of LAF and Gabicho, rather, and is looking to get that move done. Ozan has actually been the one to find his way past Strachosaurus. DRS Maestro may have gotten that move done earlier, but due to DRS, he's still stuck up behind the back of the Williams. Here on lap number 35, you got 3 cars battling for the lead of this race through the S's section. And as they come around, it's going to be Eric popping to the inside. Is Gabicho going to go to the outside? Eric will go to the lead here on lap number 35. LAF remains in second, but it's going to be 1 lap left to go. Eric, of course, has a big challenge here of trying to open that gap up to 9 seconds. And importantly, he's given both LAF and Gabicho DRS advantage as we come down onto the pit straight for the final time. LAF going to open that rear wing. Here comes Ozan. Strachosaur still there in 5th. DRS Maestro looking to finally find a way past, as he'll go to the inside. I think should finally get that move done. Of course, we're sticking with the lead group, the Aston Martin of LAF. Still with lots to do. DRS going to open once again, as he'll close up to Eric. Of course, his biggest threat right now is Strachosaur. We're picking up a potential 3-second time penalty for track limits. That could put him under threat from Ozan, who is closing behind. But is it going to be too little, too late? Somebody just dropped down the order there. I'm not sure exactly who that was. Strachosaur is now down to 7th. That may have been what confused me is Rusky and Dichal battling. But we're into the final sector, and DRS is going to open up for LAF. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Who is that for? Has a driver run out of fuel? Potentially a driver here has run out of fuel. They'll come through the stadium section for the final time. And it's going to be round 7 here. And it's going to be a race with multiple safety cars. Eric's going to come across the line first. It's going to be LAF winning in Mexico for Aston Martin. Ozan is going to cross the line and come in P2. It's going to be Kendricks walking away with 3rd and probably driver of the day here. Strachosaur comes across the line 4th, followed by Abney OK, then DRS Maestro in 6th. As a very chaotic race there is going to be won by LAF. And yeah, I'm not sure fully what happened there, and probably some changes about to come. What did you say about the race? I don't know. These streams are me talking out my ass for about 90 minutes. But there is, of course, LAF jumping up there, making it 7 different race winners in 7 races here in Group 2. As once again, that trend continues. But yeah, LAF on top. It's going to be Ozan coming home in 2nd. Kendricks actually started 11th. It was Strachosaur picking up driver of the day. And then Abney OK picking up fastest lap. DRS Maestro then comes home in 6th. Spike crossed the line first. Eric Too Fast You comes home in 7th due to those time penalties. Then it's Gabicho, Zroski, and Seau rounding out your points. And there, of course, is your total of the field in what was a very chaotic Mexican Grand Prix. So definitely be sure to tune in for Group 3 later on today to see what happens there. But hope you enjoyed this one. Of course, it was an interesting race as well with those changeable conditions. Of course, I've been Bacon Haddock. Hope you've enjoyed, but signing off for now, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.